Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. We are back today. Thank you so much for joining me, all of you that are joining me today. I'm just going to share this to a couple places. Please feel free to share if you want your friends and family to join us in today's meditation. Let me see what's happening here. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Let me just finish posting this and we will get started. All right. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the embodiment of Source, and we discussed this topic several other times as well when we were talking about how to embody light, how to grow your field, and we just want to do a quick refresher, a quick understanding of what we're doing here in our work today. We are focusing on learning how to expand our source code, the source cord that runs through the body, which is basically the vessel in which our connection to the soul, to the higher soul, is possible. And so anytime that we have blockages or limiting belief systems, again, we are creating blockages in the physical body that don't allow that life force to move through the body. And so how does this life force manifest in the physical body? It really is about the amount of information that we are allowing to activate, to deprogram from the cellular level, which is the genetic code, your blueprint of what you are, activating that so that you can embody your highest expression. And so oftentimes it becomes difficult to activate this information because of the deep programming and the fear. And a lot of these experiences that we're having are being brought down through our lineages, through our maternal, paternal lineages, because as you know, we are one. And the concept is that all of us collectively are experiencing this evolution, which is an innate design of this entire multiverse that we're participating in. In this multiverse that we are moving through in a kind of spiral movement, as with all organisms, create kind of vortex movement. It's a vortices that are bringing, contracting and extracting energy. And so we want to make sure that we are the expansive energy as opposed to this contractive energy. When we become contractive, this is when all the energy begins to go down and lessen into the lower aspects of the physical body, and things begin to become slow, stagnant. So this is where we start to have some problems. So how do we fix this in our body? How do we begin to work with that information so that we can become more expansive? We can embody that expansive energy. We do that by beginning to heal, becoming whole, recognizing the fragments that are created through trauma, through traumatic experiences, and begin to nurture those parts of us, broaden those perspectives, reintegrate those fragments. And so in order to embody this source, which is what we are, all we have to do is recognize that we are that source. We have to remember that we are that source. The moment that we attach the soul to the physical body, this infinite information becomes organized within something that we call the chakra system. And it's the chakra system that organizes the information based on the vibrational frequency. Depending on where your thoughts are throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your entire life, you recognize that there's certain patterns of belief systems and thoughts that you're mostly managing. And so what happens is that becomes a signature, the vibrational frequency that informs your expression. And so the expression then is limited right? Because it's only pulling from those belief systems, from those experiences, from those emotions. So our genetic code is mostly, when we come into the body, it's deactivated, right? We come into the body, and as a child, we're quite open. We have the ability to access all kinds of information. And depending on the time and space that you're incarnating on the planet Earth, depending on the date, depending on the month, depending on all of the circumstances, the picture of the universe that is being taken is all encoded within your genetic code. So what that means is that some of us come in more awake, which means more aware of this source embodiment than others. And as a child, we are sometimes remembering our past lives. Sometimes we are embodying a lot of these starseed aspects of ourselves. And we're incredibly intuitive. We are incredibly empathic and intuitive. And so this, unfortunately, when you come into the system, we are born into families that are not aware sometimes of these things. And so the programming begins, right? It goes in reverse. All of the natural laws of the universe that are naturally encoded and available, accessible through the physical body, through the intuitive source code, now becomes less and less and less. Our source code becomes thinner, thinner, frailer and frailer, and the ability to access the mother code, which is the DNA, the genetic code of the earth, right? Because the earth is kind of like our home. It's also our parent, our mother, our father. It's the home in which we're inhabiting here. And it's as if we are a cell that is participant of this earth. Just the way the Earth is a cell participant of a galaxy, and the galaxy is a cell participant of a greater multiverse. And we in ourselves have this same fractal design of being infinite universes embedded inside of our code. But the only way to access all of these infinite universes is by coming back to that activation of the physical body, by unlocking the genetic code, which becomes deactivated through trauma, fragmentation, fear, and all of the other programs and belief systems that compartmentalize the systems of reality into a dualistic viewpoint. And so how to move away from that, this is kind of the purpose of the human coming into the physical body in the physical realm, is in order to begin to expand that view from that limited dualistic perspective into something that is more universal, more all-inclusive of yourself as a whole organism, as the unity, the marriage of that divinity, of those two dualistic aspects into one, and then embody the greater. Through this awareness of the body is encoded everything. So really, the only way to access the infinite wisdom, the infinite knowledge of everything, the awareness of everything, is through that inner union that occurs inside the physical body. And that union is simply that point of awareness and acknowledgement and acceptance without fear of all that you are. So as we are moving as children, we begin to experience fearful experiences. We apply the fear, we apply meaning to the experiences that we have, and the meanings that we apply to those experiences limit how we see them. Because we're only applying the meaning of one perspective, probably the one that was taught and demonstrated through our environment and through those that are there mentoring us. So what happens is we end up with a very maybe conical view of the world, right? And so in order to change that, we need to come back into that observer state where as a child, remember, you were full of wonder, full of observation, not judging things, just observing and experiencing and exploring really all the things that were occurring. So if we can somehow bring ourselves back into this state of exploration, this place of returning back to an innocence, that innocence in which we are able to trust the fluidity of all experiences without having fear of them ending or disappearing, or ultimately, the greatest fear of all man is death. And we talked about this in several other of our meditations this week, how we need to train ourselves to be okay with death. Because our entire life experiences, from the moment of being into the birth, in the womb, to the moment that we are detaching from this body, we are experiencing death constantly. We are experiencing the rebirth. All these cycles of death and rebirth, of expansion and contraction, we're experiencing at all levels of our experience. But we aren't taught to look at it that way, and so it becomes something in which the emotions begin to inform and pollute with limiting belief systems, limiting attachments. Anytime that we become identified with a belief system, then that's where the growth ends, because we have adapted to a belief system, we have made it our own, we have made it the identity, and what the ego wants more than anything in this physical vessel is to have a secure identity, because in that secure identity it becomes safe, it feels safe, it has the illusion of safety. That realization that it's just an illusion is actually one of the most powerful realizations that we can have, because they begin to allow us to expand from that limiting illusion. What is this safety? A lot of times we become safe with suffering. We feel safe in our suffering because it's known, it's familiar. So the idea is that we begin to work with that suffering and expand all of those fragments. As infinite consciousness, as source attaching into this physical body, as that information organizes itself within the chakra system, you are matching, you are inherently a match to the ancestral lineage that goes down your paternal and maternal lineage. So what that means is that we can choose whether we want to continue those cycles of karma, or the cycles of limiting beliefs, right? The karma, as we call it, cause and effect. Okay. Or if we want to go into a different way of experiencing them by simply observing them and continuing in that flow of creation. So this really becomes an incredible opportunity for the human to embody an incredible expansion. And the ability to activate the genetic code is happening by the deprogramming of limiting beliefs, number one. Number two, by embodying higher vibrational frequencies. The higher vibrational frequencies are all of those that are felt from the heart up into the higher levels, primarily the feelings of love, the bliss. And we're not talking about emotions, we're talking about the snapshot, all-inclusive awareness of the whole. And that is available by deconstructing the limiting understanding that we have of what the emotions are. Unfortunately, to the majority of us, emotions are meanings that we place. And in fact, when we create meanings and emotions together, when we combine those two together, we are only limiting what is available with that information. When we begin to look at emotions as temporary tools, simply temporary tools, we have the ability of noticing from a higher perspective the information, taking what's needed for that moment, and not from a place of survival, but just understanding, learning, experience, and then continued making choices consciously. That is the use of life force that is the most productive for the organism. When we don't use emotions and life force in this way, we create counter-creative experiences. And the counter-creative experiences reinforce the same cyclical patterns that we have encoded in the genetic code. And what happens is, over time, we reinforce, and if the organism chooses to have a child, it is sent into the child. But the design of the universe is so intelligent, is so incredibly vast, and evolution is a natural expression of that. we are constantly evolving. The universe, again, it's moving in this spiral movement. So everything is evolving, whether we like it or not. So what does that tell us about our evolution and the opportunity that's available to us? Every single Every single soul that comes into the incarnation lineage, every soul that incarnates in this planet, is incarnating specifically for the purpose of assisting this collective lineage to evolve, to progress. So that means that every soul that incarnates is encoded with the information needed to address the immediate cyclical patterns that are being played out and dissolve them. Okay, let's say that we have a family in which we are dealing with mental illness. Okay, and when we take a look at the lineage, the ancestral lineage that this mental illness is embedded in, we begin to look at cycles and cycles and cycles of belief systems that are contradicting or resisting something such as this mental illness. So as a result of the accumulation of the resistance and the rejection of that infinite source as a part of itself, the belief system that we are one, perhaps it has to do with judgment of people that have mental disorders, these belief systems that we are separate, again, it's the fear you are I and you are you as a separate. When we have those reinforced belief systems over and over again, they call and design in a very intelligent manner. It's almost as if a disease, like a disease is born within that lineage. It's this thought form of separation. How do you cure the disease, right? You bring in that disease into the body, and now all the white cells, red blood cells are activating to help remove this. So in a similar example, metaphor per se, we have these thought forms that are counter-creative. The next soul that incarnates in that lineage has an understanding and is going to embody all of the traits to challenge that belief system. And a lot of times it's not going to be as clear as we might want it to be, because the soul that incarnates in that body is going to either be incredibly rebellious or is going to embody that disease, for example, and challenge all of those structures of belief system in that lineage. And so this is just a very strong example of how this functions. This functions very subtly in all our families with very little other things. It can be insecurities, it can fears, doubts, something like this. And the next generation that comes in is designed exactly in order to give the opportunity for this organism to heal. Because in our family lineages, even though, we come in as a soul, we're actually reliving over and over. The same souls are gathering together again. And we are in a planet, an entire planet of relatives. Okay, we all are organisms, souls that have met each other, that have dealt with each other at some point or another. And the opportunity at this time as a collective, there are two things that the humans are here to do: to remember that infinity as a whole, that connection to the all, individually and collectively. There's a collective consciousness. The evolution of the individual is the evolution of the whole. So the healing that we do in our work, in our spiritual evolution, is literally changing and shifting the genetic code of the earth and the genetic code of the individual ancestral lineage. So this is very important to know in your healing, because when you're doing and you come up on an emotion that is very triggering for you, what you're going to find is that this emotion, you've been feeling it a lot in your life and you're incredibly familiar with it. Okay, and as you become familiar with it, you realize, gosh, I'm always in that emotion. It's always in the back of the mind. It's always somewhere there. And that emotion is informing your actions, your belief systems, your choices, the people that you connect with. It is your vibrational signature. So if we are utilizing a vibrational signature that's very limiting and counter-creative, we're going to experience a life of a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, illness, disconnect. And the organism has to, at some point, because of the law of accident, wake up. It'll become aware because the organism, the collective, in order for it to survive, to sustain its longevity, it has to live. Otherwise, everything would disappear into destruction, right? Into this separation. And the more and more we unify these systems into a whole, healing means become whole. The more we're aware of ourselves as the opposite of separation, this is how you begin to enhance the source energy that runs through the system of your organism. Your organism is you, your ancestral lineage. So all of these experiences that we're having in our life are an incredible opportunity, and it's occurring in such a manner that every moment of your day, from the moment that you wake up, everything around you is a reflection of your core beliefs. It's in resonance with you. So how do you move out of toxic environments, toxic relationships, toxic events individually? It's by beginning to remember that you are this infinite source, that you are the all, you are not the separation. Just coming back into that place is the key to finding incredible surrender of this judgment that we want to apply to all things. So in today's practice, we're going to bring ourselves into that surrender point, into that remembrance of being the all, of being that source. And as we begin to in a sense, training or reminding the self of what that feels like, becoming acquainted with that, the invitation is that we bring that into our everyday experiences at all times, feeling this connection to the all as much as you can throughout your day. This is what we call remembering the self. You are awaking up, you are becoming conscious, and you are remembering yourself as not this physical body, but as the whole, as the organism of creation that you are. And little by little, the complexities of how this information is stored within the body begins to become so simple because we notice that it's simply patterns. And we talked about that yesterday. And those patterns are always just two little roadways leading to one point. As with everything, the lesson of life, the lesson of everything is returning to oneness, returning to one core creation, returning from any of these variety of emotions down to the root emotion of creation, returning from separation into unity, and the collective, seeing the collective as one, as source. Okay, and this is happening again in a fractal design, individually, internally, and externally, micro, macro, as above, so below. So the idea is to find yourself constantly returning back to that wholeness, that source expression of yourself. So let's begin. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Hey, Alex, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So nice to see you guys. Hello, Anita. Hi, Luana. Much love. It's so good to have the family back here again. You guys are amazing. You guys are great. So great to see you. Alexander says, what if the human decides not to have a child? Is the healing only specific to that one human? How does it pass on to future lineages? That's a great question. If the person decides not to have a child, they are healing and oftentimes ending cyclical patterns of that family lineage. So every child of a family is encoded with specific information to address the complexities of the lineage. So one child, and the lesson is the same, again, even though both of them might be addressing things in a different way, it's always the same core belief system, separation into unity, So, for example, one sibling can be very angry about life. The other one can be very, happy about life, but perhaps delusional about life. Both of those are expressions of the same thing when you understand them, when you get down to the root core. Both of them are powerful expressions, and sometimes contradicting the belief systems of the parents, but when you unpack them and you go down to the root core, again, it's the same belief system, the separation that is a result of the illusion of separation instead of unity. So again, these children are, if one of them chooses to have children, they're going to carry that on to the child and so on and so forth. If the other one doesn't have a child, they're ending something specific in that. And so, it depends on how this individual lives their life. The solution is just not to have children. That's not the solution. The solution is, again, to return back to that oneness, to wake up, to understand yourself as a unity, as this creator self. Because in reality, all of these things are an illusion. Even though we have these structures of understanding of what they are from the genetic, we're trying to understand the illusion. But in reality, beyond that, we are creating absolutely everything. So as soon as we remember that, we begin to kind of take hold of what we're participating in creating. So this is something that you can take a look at. And what is your next question? Does it pass on to future lineages? So again, think in terms that regardless what each family's issue is, everyone is learning the exact same thing. We're just basically exploring millions of infinite possibilities of how to learn the same thing. That's what Earth is. It's a million possibilities of learning the same thing, how to come from separation into unity. All of the organisms inside of this multiverse experiencing duality are learning how to come back to unity. So ultimately, it doesn't matter, the organisms that participate, but each soul, remember, this is only one universe which you're participating in. We have many millions of fragments of ourselves that are experiencing other aspects of this multiverse, that are learning other things that are beyond our comprehension. We can only understand this dualistic unity concept. And so as we begin to reintegrate our fragments, we are becoming whole as an organism and then moving on to other dimensional planes. And this is how sometimes we have lives as, other interdimensional beings or, other archetypes here on Earth. We are all cycling through all the archetypes of Earth and then maybe moving on to other things. It's just the structure of organization of this intelligent universe that we're participating in. Anita says, fascinating. What I call the scent of ancestral memory. Oh, a book of mine. Wonderful. Yes. So ancestral memory, all of that is within us. So we're working with that information. So let's get started, guys. We're going to start by inhaling deeply. Okay, with every breath you take, allowing yourself to ground down to the center of the earth. You're going to visualize a sphere around your body, becoming aware of your space. Breathing deeply. Okay, and right here, just at the get-go, we're going to start in this stillness, in this silence, beginning to notice any thoughts in the mind, just releasing any thoughts that might come into the mind and bringing yourself back into a state of neutrality. Breathing deeply. With every breath you take, we're going to connect with every cell of the body. So we're going to start at the crown of the head. And just imagine that you are kind of scanning the entire body from the crown of the head down. The inside and the outside of the body becomes aware. Going down to the face, the neck, the shoulders, the chest. Breathing deeply. Going down to the solar plexus. Going down to the hips. To the thighs. To the legs. Breathing deeply with every breath you take. Just allowing the body to come into a state of complete neutrality, complete relaxation. Breathing deeply. Going down into the legs. The shins, the calves, the knees. Going down into the feet, to the soles of the feet. Okay, now that you're here, in this stillness, we're going to begin to work with the root chakra. So I want you to focus on the root chakra. And I want you to begin to tune in to all the information that's available to you there. You're going to intuitively tune in to the emotions that are in the root chakra. Breathing deeply. What is there? Just listening to the information, the patterns of information. What are the repetitive programs that we have here within the root chakra? Take a look at that. And as you begin to work with the root chakra, you're going to close that chakra down to the size of a dime. And what I want you to notice is that as you pay attention to the other parts of your body, I want you to go out into the first dimensional plane of your body and begin to observe where there are cracks in the multidimensional body, in the root chakra. Go ahead and visualize that. Okay. And as you kind of move through the layer of your body, you're going to notice that now emotional information is coming out of the root chakra. So go ahead and notice the emotions that are coming up and work with those emotions. I want you to sit with them and feel them, just observing what they're saying. And with every breath you take, just allowing yourself to understand what is there. Okay. And notice what those emotions are attached to. Is it a certain event? Is it a certain belief? Take a look at that. You're going to go up to the sacral, and you're going to do the same. So in the sacral, go ahead and notice the information that's there. Tune into it. I want you to sit with the sacral and read the information that's there. Taking your attention out to your second layer of your body, and we're going to repair that space. And this is where you're going to notice any kind of emotional information that might come up. So go ahead and notice that. What emotional information is in the sacral chakra? Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply, repairing all of the layer, the second layer of the body, where all that information might be. Intuitively connecting. Do you have cords? Do you have attachments that are here in this space? Go ahead and pull out any cords that are here. And as you pull out the cords, notice that you're going to begin to see that they actually look like very long, stringy things. It can look like tentacles. It can look like strings, like ropes, like threads. And you're going to address every single thread that you feel using your intuition and listening to the intuition as you begin to pull those out. You want to pull them out of the body. And as you pull it out, you're going to call back your life force into the body. So breathing deeply, bringing back that life force in the body. Okay, you're going to go up to the solar plexus now in the center core of the body. Okay, go ahead and notice the information that's there in the solar plexus. Read the solar plexus. Okay, a lot of you are going to start tapping into now a lot of older energy, older information. This is where a lot of, because of the emotional information that lives in this space, you're going to be tuning into repetitive ancestral programs. So go ahead and notice, what are those prominent belief systems, emotions that are felt within your lineage. Go ahead and tune in to that solar plexus as you begin to observe that. Okay, and you're going to repair the third layer of your body and noticing cords, clearing out those cords in the third dimensional plane, pulling them out. Again, taking back your life force into the body. Okay, notice that you have probably a lot more here in the second and third. And in the first, it's rooted in the environment. In the second and third, it's going to be rooted a lot in relationships, people, places, things. So just notice that. And as you pull them out of your body, you're calling back your life force from those exchanges. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. Okay. You're going to go up to the heart chakra. You're going to read the heart. What's in the heart center? What's in the chest? What are you holding on to? Okay. You feeling a lot of heavy emotions here, a lot of stress, anxiety? Do you feel like you're carrying a lot recently? When we don't do this kind of energetic hygiene, energies in times like this become intolerable, incredibly overwhelming, because they magnify and it feels very sticky and heavy. So this is the kind of work that we want to be doing daily. So in the heart chakra, read the information that's there. Breathing deeply. Okay. And go ahead and tune in to the fourth layer of the body, fourth dimensional plane. Go ahead and notice all the cords. This is where you're going to start finding more substantial blockages. Okay, so you're going to notice heavy images, maybe something that looks like rocks or just blockages, energetic blockages in your space. So go ahead and notice that and release. Go ahead and release all of the things that you find in your space. You can either send it down to the center of the earth, or you can send it up through the crown of your head out of your body. Breathing. With every breath you take, you are channeling the energy either in the body or expelling it as you exhale out. Okay, go around the body to the back of the body. A lot of times the back of the body we don't pay attention, so go ahead and clear out the back of the body. Pulling out cords. A lot of times if we have implants, if we have any kind of really parasitic exchanges, especially in dream time, they are corded here to the back of the spine. So go ahead and notice that and remove those out. Okay. You're going to go up to the throat. Now the throat is being very heavily attacked at this time. Attacked meaning that we are challenging this center. It is the center of feminine and masculine. So anything that has to do with these two energies is being completely convoluted, messed up, inverted. It's being changed. And so in the world around us, right, everything that is true, that is divine, that is pure, that is balanced, is being inverted. So we need to find and discern within how we are expressing the vibrational frequencies that we are emitting from the body. We talked about that earlier this week, how the center of the throat and the throat chakra is the center of creation, right, into vibrational frequency through verbal expression. Every word that we speak is creating. And so this is important because when we're confused about what's true, that's the information and energy that's being put out into the universe, in the collective. So it's often, they say it's often better to be silent than to speak something that is unsure or confused in that manner. And when we find that silence and connect to the source, that's when we can connect to the real higher truths, which are always inclusive of not just yourself, but the whole. And that's kind of how you can begin to understand where we want to live. We want to live in that unity, in that whole, as opposed to just the ego self that wants to be identified at all times. So notice in the throat chakra, as you read the information that's there, pulling out into the fifth dimension of your body, okay, creation. The vibrational frequency, you're going to feel a lot of vibration frequency sounds in that space. And just listen to the sounds that are in your fifth dimensional body. Are they high vibration? Are they low vibration? Are they slow? Are they heavy? Are they sluggish? Tune in to that. And the imbalance there is a representation of our expression of our divine feminine and masculine from within, how we see the divine feminine and masculine. So this is something that we need to work, heal, nurture, rebalance. So pull out all of those cords with people, places, and things that we attach to with the verbal vibrational frequency. Each word that is a match to something links us to that. Just by the thought, just by the sound, by the vocalizing that word, we are bringing that into our space. That's why it's so important to be aware of what you're speaking, why you're speaking what you're speaking. Okay, and really catching when the vibrational expressions are from fear or when they're from love, or love and the lack of love. So as you notice the fifth dimensional plane, you might find lots of cords all over the entire body. Millions, perhaps. Tiny, tiny little threads and cords. So just visualize that you're severing them gently from all around your body, and you are bringing back your life force into the body and releasing, letting go, letting go. Any of that stuff that you took on from yourself. If we are in toxic relationships or in relationships where the communication is imbalanced, in which the other person perhaps enforces their belief systems on us or is verbally abusive or yelling like this, some kind of violence, that vibrational violence is something that really deteriorates the fifth dimensional plane of the body. So take your time to clear and heal those parts. When we have this kind of trauma as a child, it's often very weak and it weakens the immune system. So this is something that you want to be sure you are looking at. Breathing deeply. Okay. You're going to go up to the third eye now. Okay, third eye. Go ahead and take a look at that chakra, the third eye chakra, and read the information that's in your third eye chakra. What's there? What are the beliefs, the expansive and the contractive beliefs that are there? Okay. Take a look at what is there. And take your attention as you begin to look at that, as you begin to clear it out, take a look at your seventh dimensional plane, sixth and seventh. Take a look at that. This is your intuitive body. Okay. So as you take a look at this, you're going to begin to notice where we have cracks in your field. This is where we can have the intuition is completely ignored. When we constantly ignore the intuitive communications that come in to us, we create a lot of destruction. We thin our body in that space, and we become very open to things when we don't listen to the intuition. Because when we strengthen the intuition, we are unifying ourselves with the all. When we weaken the intuition, we're disconnecting from the all. We're disconnecting from source. So we need to practice and strengthen the source cord through the intuitive body. That's the sixth layer of the body. So as you begin to look at the sixth layer of the body, notice where you can repair all of those things that are open, all of those wounds, tears, the belief systems around mistrust that we might have, that we can begin to heal in the body. So breathing deeply, and this is where we're going to start working on the higher levels. So any kind of cords and attachments that we brought in either as a child or that are brought down through the ancestral lineage around your intuition and your intuitive gifts, those are all going to be there. So notice what you have. This is where you can start tuning into your ancestors. You're going to start seeing grandma, grandpa, deceased relatives that are mirroring those same belief systems. Those that have not evolved and healed from those belief systems are very much in our space, because remember, we are designed from the cloth of the vibrational frequency cloth of those beliefs comes our embodiment. Our attachment to this ancestral lineage is informed by those beliefs. So we have to begin to repair them as we become aware of them to, as a whole, unify the whole lineage with the whole. Okay? So as you see those cords, go ahead and clear them out. Cleanse and neutralize any kind of stagnant energy in the sixth dimensional plane. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. You're going to go up into the crown now. Okay, the crown is so important. That's the center of creation and manifestation. So this is where a lot of us, the reason why we keep coming back into this cyclical pattern of understanding the dualism and understanding how to transcend the dualistic belief into the God creator, is because we are stuck in the belief that we are limited. We come here as infinite beings in order to create anything that we require, anything that we need. But our limiting beliefs make it so that we are blocked and blocked and blocked, and collectively create events like the ones that we experience that continue to suppress those beliefs, because we reinforce those systems of control, of suppression, the parasitic consciousness that kind of comes in and wreaks havoc on our belief systems and our experience here on earth. When we feed into that with our actions, we reinforce that in our space, and little by little deactivating DNA, disconnecting from source more and more until we become automatons, robots, right? So we want to begin to wake up, activate that DNA, become conscious, the organic, and allow that source to embody in this body and activate the superpowers of the human, which are the intuition, the abilities to heal, the abilities to manifest. So here we are in the crown, the center for manifestation. I want you to tune in to this body of manifestation. What do you need? Take a look at that. Take a look at all of the blocking belief systems around manifestation. What is it that we fear? Most of you will discover that it's rooted in fears of the unknown, fear of separation, death. So as you are here, I want you to begin to look at the feelings around death, the feelings about unknown. And I want you to tune into those feelings in your body now. Okay? Tune in to those feelings in your body. The fear of death, the fear of the unknown. And as you sit with those emotions, that information, I want you to look in your body. What part of the body tenses up as you begin to feel this emotion? What part of the body feels stuck, sick sometimes, nauseous? Okay, notice that. Okay. Go ahead and breathe deeply. And as you begin to feel this uncomfortable emotion, I want you to see what else is underneath that. What's underneath that? Take a look at the emotions that are within that. Okay. As you begin to observe the emotions that are underneath that, you might have memories of the past, childhood experiences, recent experiences, all of the fears around death, separation, disconnect. I want you to sit with that emotion. As you identify the other emotions that are there, allow yourself to sit with those emotions for a moment. I know that it's going to feel uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable in just 1 second. Once you sit with that emotion and acknowledge each one, it begins to dissolve. That very heavy feeling in the body begins to dissolve. Okay? And I want you to pay attention. It's going to tell you as that emotion begins to weaken and dissolve, you'll get an understanding of why you feel that way. Listen to that. Listen to what is being said. Listen to what you need in order to not feel that way. What do you need in order to not fear death? What do you need in order to be comfortable with impermanence, with surrendering? with vulnerability. Take a look at that. Any fear that you have of anything, notice the emotions. Okay. So as you begin to kind of understand what it's about, I want you to call into this moment that part of you that believes this. I want you to see it in front of you. Okay? Sometimes that part of us is going to be very sad, very heavy, very damaged. It has all the wariness of its entire life experiences with this fear. So I want you to embrace it in a sphere of light and heal that part of you. Provide it with what it needs in order to not feel the fear of this impermanence, the fear of the unknown, the fear of death. Give it the opposite of that. Provide it with that. And as you do, breathing into your body, as you begin to feel the new emotions now coming in, the new frequency of the body, you are literally shifting your frequency in this moment. Breathing. We are constantly moving through these cycles. So as you allow yourself to see the opposite, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so scary anymore. It doesn't feel so threatening. You begin to observe in this exercise the unity of all. You see yourself as the whole. And as you begin to see yourself, I want you to visualize that you're looking at yourself down from above, doing this meditation at yourself, and to just observe yourself, the expression on your face, the vibrational frequency that you are emitting. Can you see the color of your energy? Go ahead and take a look at that. As you look at yourself, what is it that you need in order to overcome that fear? Once again, take a look at yourself in your life. And you may quickly review some very trying things that you're experiencing in your life right now. Very challenging things, people, places, and experiences, events that are happening in your life right now that are challenging you. The root of those are seated in fear. What do you need in order to be able to manage those experiences without fear? Remind yourself, see yourself as the all. And in that all, you find this unconditional love. Okay, I want you to bring that unconditional love into your body, into your whole. And this is how you open. This is how you activate DNA. This is how you open up your source cord. This is how you begin to make room for wider bands of light to enter into the body, your true self, and the embodiment of Source. So take yourself up into now the 8th and the 9th chakra. And go ahead and expand those. Clear out any blockages in the 8th and the 9th dimension. Go up into the 10th dimension. Expand, open, activate. Go up to the 11th dimension. Expand, activate. Become aware in that dimension. You are all of these dimensions. Those dimensions are within you. Go up to the 12th dimension. Expand, activate. Go up to the 13th dimension. And above you is a powerful white light of Source. I want you to connect up into Source. And I want you to sit here in this moment to feel what it feels like to be in this infinity. This is the exact opposite of the fear of death, of impermanence. It is the exact opposite of the fear of the unknown. In fact, in this space, you are the all. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. Okay. As you are here in this space, this is what we want to bring into our every moment. This is the presence, the connection to the all, the infinite, that is available to you. All answers to anything that you might have are available to you in this space. Go ahead and bring it down into the body. Anchor it into the body as it begins to cover your body. You're going to bring it into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. Transforming any of that heaviness into light. Go ahead and open up your root chakra back into a balanced state, your sacral and the solar into a balanced state, and all of your chakras in alignment. Okay, just you command them into alignment, about 3 inches wide and a little wider at the top. Okay, and you are grounded down to the center of the earth. So ground yourself down to the center of the earth. Protect yourself and your sphere of awareness as you are aware of your body, knowing that everything inside of this sphere is what we can control. It's what we create. Everything outside of that sphere we cannot control. So there is no reason for us to become identified with what happens outside. Just maintaining a state of observation here in this center of creation, this empowerment. This is the source. Everything that we need is here, right here in the body. So as you breathe deeply, bringing yourself back into the room, I want you to open your eyes. You're going to take a really nice deep breath and welcome back. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, guys. You guys did amazing. So let me come over here. And Eugene, so good to see you. Excited for the DNA reprogramming. Yes, I think you and I are working soon. So excited to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Do you do it in this method of asking us to do the reading, clearing, or do you also call in your own perspective and transmuting? So each individual does their own healing. I'm here to hold space for you to heal. And so when we do a DNA reprogramming, the primary thing, my job here on this planet, is to train you to learn what I do. And so although I can see more than you because of my psychic abilities, I guide each vision that you have and allow you to explore your own intuitive expression and become trust with that. Create trust with what you're seeing. And what this does over time is it allows you to really read quickly what's occurring in your space. This kind of DNA reprogramming that we do in a daily session is something that we should practice the entire day. This level of awareness. So we want to bring the meditation. I'm not a fan of just allocating certain times to meditation. I think that meditation should be done the entire day, all the time. And so this is what we want to aim to do, is to train ourselves to embody grounding, connection, alignment throughout your whole day. So yeah, so this is, I have a video about how we do the session, but I read the chakra system, we take a look at the multidimensional body, we run energy, and then we go really deep. We go into the memories, we go all the way back to the womb where we begin to open up these experiences, and most importantly, reintegrate fragments of our soul that are created in those experiences. And usually this is where we begin to work with ancestors. And what you'll find in the session as you do the work is that oneness, because you begin to notice that where the patterns go, which lineage they go down. And oftentimes my clients begin to observe that their star seed connections are oftentimes the roots of a lot of these things. So we begin to reintegrate from those, from our fragments, the higher fragments in the higher dimensions. So this creates a very long lasting result when we're working with these topics, with these themes of emotions. But what happens is that they are deprogramming little by little until it no longer becomes a trigger point for them. And you change your frequency, essentially, and you've activated the DNA. You've created new neural pathways. So it's a pretty profound session, and it's pretty heavy. So it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And in that session, we can get into some of these things. A lot of the times my clients are people that are working on spirituality for many, many years and then get stuck. And so they come to work with me to get unstuck from that place. And the idea is that you are evolving as a soul and learning how to embody that oneness at all times. So thanks so much for that question. Grandmaster, so good to see you. Congratulations on your new song. That's so great. Eugene, unity, interesting. So interesting to hear throat as an masculine feminine union representation. Always felt it in my brain hemispheres the most. That's also another expression of that. And also we have the body, right? The right and the left. But it is the space between mind and heart after all. Yeah, I mean, we are an expression of of duality in many aspects. Down to the cellular level, we have that dualistic expression. So yes, brain hemispheres, throat. The throat manages the feminine and masculine energies of the body. This is also connecting to the thyroid, and the thyroid, as you know, manages the hormonal system. So when we have problems in the hormonal system, this is where we end up having, sexual problems and sometimes identity and clarity in our sexuality sometimes can occur. And this is a very complex topic because it is something that is generational, and it's also something that is happening in the collective to blur any belief systems of that dualistic expression. It's happening more now than ever. And we need that in a sense, okay? Thank you for that question. Air Lidziuti. Lidziuti. I hope I said that right, Air. I feel open crown because my soul flew away on 1st of September. Very strange experience. I did not recognize my body and family members, and light came through the head to the heart. That's an interesting experience, Air. But if you're still here with life force energy in the body, and if you can still recognize that these beings are your family members, there is still fragments of yourself here. It's inevitable because it's encoded in your DNA. So the soul doesn't really leave the body in that way. We are the soul. Without the soul, the body would be dead. It is the life force energy that moves through you. Now, if a fragmentation occurred, that's another way to say it. Perhaps there was a profound fragmentation that occurred in which a fragment of ourselves became stagnant somehow, and perhaps we brought in something else into the space. So just take a look at that. What belongs to you and what doesn't, and bring the self back. We need to bring the self back into that wholeness in order to reintegrate. And even though we are never reintegrating as the same thing, we are always reintegrating in an evolutionary format, which we are always changing constantly. But that change is rooted with the same code information, base code. Me, not the fear of death, fear of coming back here again. Oh, well, I completely understand that that concept. But again, if that is the fear that we have, then that is informing your next step. So the idea is not to have that fear at all, to see yourself as all. And when you do see yourself as that infinity, you change your vibrational frequency. That frequency change at the time of death, especially throughout your entire life that you're reinforcing and building in your body, in your entire organism, will move you into a matching another experience that's not in the dualistic realm, perhaps. So that is a way that you can do that. Right rear crown area, close to the top center of the brain. Oh, I missed it. But I can never interference, but I can never so far tell why. Okay, that's an interesting. I suggest you take a look at that space, sit with that space and that feeling, and identify the emotions, the sensations, and whatever you sense there intuitively, and remove it. Whatever's in your space that doesn't need to be there, that's blocking, you need to just remove. Air says, what does it mean if I have a dream about the storm very often, but the storm doesn't touch, it just goes through? Oh, it's very interesting. A lot of times, so, dreams are very specific and personal to ourselves because a lot of times it's a metaphor of things that we are venting out emotionally. So something that I would suggest is to sit in meditation with the dream and identify what each element represents to you. For example, clouds, storm, rain, water. Take a look at every single detail that you can pick up with the senses and identify how it makes you feel. And immediately as you bring up each element into your mind, notice the emotional response that you have and work with the emotional response that comes up. That'll help you understand what is being explained here in this experience. If you go through a lot of, the dream dictionaries and whatnot, there are some base definitions that is allocated around storms and water being emotions, clouds being the subconscious thoughts. The color of the clouds will define something. And there are also people that do dream interpretation. But I am very much a fan of doing your own interpretation in meditation because you can understand way more than anyone will ever be able to translate for you. Okay, Sadia Torkam, hello. Side, so good to see you. Maribon, good morning, so good to see you. Alexander, I can feel the etheric cords in my body so clearly and feel this sticky energy travel with my awareness in my body, especially in my throat, my teeth, there's lots of cords. Great. Get them out, Alex. Anita says, wow, everything and nothing, that is the all. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Overall amazing. I was seeing orbs. That's amazing, Alex. That's so great. Soup Ace says, thank you for your radiant presence and being. Thank you, Soup Ace, for being here. Love you. Thank you so much. What if when my soul leaves this body into a new existence, but my old body is thirsty? JP official, what do you mean? Clarify your question. The old body, do you mean the dead body? Okay. It could be a very valid question. I just want to have clarity on what you're saying. What dies and what dissolves is the physical, the illusion. It's an illusion. It's a hologram. Keep in mind, okay? So all that's doing is vibrational frequency is changing vibration. That's all that's happening. So as it changes vibrational frequency, it can change form or what we perceive in that shape or form. So that's all that's occurring. So think of things in terms of frequency, and it will be very easy to understand a lot of these concepts of death and rebirth. Okay? All right, my loves, thank you so much. No, don't forget about it. Think about it, meditate on it, and get clear on what you mean. Okay? All my love, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.